Hello and welcome round to my house. Now, there's less than a week until Christmas Day, would you believe it? But we're kicking the celebrations off early today as me and two of the world's finest chefs are going to be serving up a feast of festive food, a few glasses of fizz for this country's favourite Frenchman. So what are we doing out here? Let's get cooking.
Morning. Are you coming in then?
Good morning. Now we've got a packed show for you today, including all of this. I'll be joined by the maitre d' who put the star in 5-star service when Fred Sirieix joins by a little bit later. But I'm heading back to Bristol on another one of my food adventures, and I'll be serving up a Spanish-style chicken on the banks of the River Test, and there'll be mouth-watering recipes from, wait for it, Michael Caines and the incredibly talented Claire Smith will be joining us in the kitchen. And don't miss this week's little masterclass in gingerbread and ginger cake, and I'll be showing you how to make some incredible and edible Christmas tree decorations. But we're kicking things off today with a recipe that I think you're going to love. It's my rum and almond tart. Now, this isn't rum and coke in here. This is a little bit of white wine, which you need. I don't know where they bought this glass from, but I dread to think. Anyway, we're going to start off, and the whole idea of it is we're going to make some of these wonderful little prune and almond tarts. Now, these are just straight out of the oven. These are just going to left to warm and just cool down a little bit. But what I'm going to do, first of all, is it all starts off with the pastry in the frangipan. So in here, I've got some butter, I've got some sugar, I've got some eggs, ground almonds, and flour. Now, what you need to have is the butter at room temperature. And then what we're going to do is add our sugar into here with our butter. So the whole lot gets put into our machine. Now, you need to do this with a beater rather than a whisk. And we start this off slowly and then gradually start to speed it up as it starts to come together and creams together. So start it off slow. If you put it on too fast to start off with, it just goes everywhere, all right? Like that. So we gradually, it all starts to come together. Now, not too fast. Now, while that's happening, we can turn our attention to our little tartlet tins. Now, you can, if you're doing a large one of these, bake it blind, which is basically to cook the pastry without colour. So a few baking beans in the bottom, a little bit of flour, some cling film or a little bit of greaseproof. Bake it blind about 160 degrees. And then what we do, just get this going, you can see this starts to come together now. As it starts to come together, now we can gradually start to speed up the machine, like that, as this starts to cream the butter and the sugar together. So now we can start to go up and turn it up full speed. It's going to take about 3 or 4 minutes to get ready. While this is happening, I've got some beautiful Argent prunes. Now, the most famous dish of all in France with these prunes is, I think, rabbit with prunes. It's a very, very classical French dish, but this is absolutely wonderful. What I've done with these is soak them in some rum, because this is a rum and prune tart, really. You can do them in Armagnac, but this is pretty special. We're going to talk about this in a little bit in a minute. But what I've done with these is I've just blended them to make a little puree, and by doing that, you just soak them in the rum. You can do this overnight. Just pop them straight into here. I'm just going to blend them into a little paste. Now, so often with this, you use a jam base or a jam filling in the bottom of this. You've got it. It's already here with these wonderful prunes, like that. And we just take some of this mixture and pop it in the base. And like saying, because we're doing these small ones, you don't need to bake these blind. They'll cook all in real time if the pastry's thin enough. So once you get to that stage, you can leave those to one side. Now, as this starts to sort of mix together, you can see the colour changes. It goes from yellow to a whiter colour. Then this is the moment where we start to add the rest of our ingredients. So I've got some almonds, I've got some flour, and I've got some eggs. The eggs go in next. And at this moment in time, we can add the eggs one by one. So just one egg at a time. Mix it for a little bit. Oops. If the mixture separates, don't worry about it too much. The temptation is to add a little bit more flour to this. It just toughens up the mixture. So if the mixture does split, and it will split once you add all the eggs anyway, don't panic. Just get all the eggs in. like that. It'll kind of resemble sort of a really runny scrambled egg. Look, you can see this mixture here. Looks like it's all separated and split. Not the most appetising thing. Now we can add our almonds and our flour, like that, and then mix this up. And this starts to form together, but when we mix it up, we just turn the speed down a little bit to start off with, otherwise we end up with it looking like Christmas all over your kitchen. But just give this a quick mix now, and it'll come together in what's a classic sort of frangipane. Then we can flavour this with a little bit of rum. So turn it down a little bit, and we pop a nice little bit of rum in here. Give this a quick mix. Perfect. That is your lovely frangipane done. Like that. And then we can start to fill this all up in here into our wonderful little tartlets. But I said to you, it's all about the rum and the prunes with this. And I want to, as you know, we've been linking to sort of producers all over the country, all over the place, really. But this is the first one that I think we've linked to over in Guernsey. This rum comes from there. Not only does it come from there, the sugar cane is grown there as well. Not only that, the yeast as well that goes with it. And to explain the whole process, we've got Jack Gervais Brazier on the phone. Are you there, Jack? There you are.
Hi, James.
From your place is called the Juggling King, is that right?
That's correct.
So tell us how it all started. Because you worked in London, you were a stockbroker, didn't you? I mean, how do you go from that? You were then recruitment. How do you go to that, to Guernsey, and to producing your own rum? A very special rum, I might add.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. I was a stockbroker for 10 years. Very much enjoyed it. And having had enough of that, went into recruitment, which is a similar situation, but not with stocks and shares, more with jobs, as you can imagine. Yeah. And from there, I bought into and founded a brewery in Guernsey, which I very much enjoyed. And during the process, we developed a gin. I'm skipping a few years here, but in doing so, I began to get an insight into the spirit market. I felt that the gin market was becoming slightly mature, and a good friend of mine said to me that he thought that rum was the next best thing. Now, having been a stockbroker for 10 years, I'd heard that one a few times, but actually he was business and provided me with some quite compelling research, which we built the Juggling King on the back of. And
it's quite interesting that you sort of, not only you've got the distillery there, but you used to, I mean, Guernsey and Jersey particularly, as both places used to be quite famous for flowers and tomatoes and stuff like that. You had a lot of these sort of greenhouses, a lot of them were disused. You sort of then took that further to produce your own sugarcane. I mean, is it the right climate for sugarcane? You think of that, you think of hotter climates.
Yes, you do. It's an interesting place, Guernsey. Historically, it was a huge tomato exporter, and then that moved into flowers, freesias and carnations and various. So we have a huge amount of glass in Guernsey, which currently is unused. And in my thought process, I thought, well, I wonder if, even if it was for half of the year, we could get a crop out of the Guernsey weather without, to start with, using methods such as halogen lamps and what have you. And we stumbled across a particular strain of cane, which quite enjoyed Guernsey. It was a particularly hot summer when we developed our first crop, and actually it grew through the top of the greenhouse, which was slightly unexpected.
And what I love about this is that when you look into the history of it, you're looking at the modern techniques, your master distillers doing that together with yourself, is that you're also, you've got such a great history with Guernsey and rum as well. Wasn't it the third biggest port or something for importing rum, something like that in the world at one particular time?
Yeah, it's vast, James, to be honest. The history is vast and slightly untapped. I mean, I found myself in the historic library over here, which is known as the Prio Library. And one of my old teachers actually was on the front desk and essentially asked politely, why was I in that library? And I said, well, I was looking for the history of rum. And he directed me to one specific dusty area of the library where there was some fabulous archives on rum. And the period sort of 1680 through 1750 was a very, very active time in Guernsey. In South American Guyana, Guernsey and Jamaica were quite dominant in that period.
Well, Jack, best of luck with it. I guess this time of year is very, very busy for you as well. And good luck with everything. Best of luck with it. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
See, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take these wonderful prunes and then pop these on the top. These have just been basically de-stoned. A few whole almonds on there as well, like that. And then just pop the entire lot, about 180 degrees, wants to go in the oven for no more than about 30 minutes. These will take to cook. And then what I've got in here is I've got a touch of custard. Now, you can use the bought-in custard as well, together with a little bit of this rum, just a touch. Fascinating story to think that all that is produced in Guernsey, look. And then I've just got some hot water on here because what I'm going to serve this with is a nice little bit of rum cream. But then we can take our nice little tarts like this. Now, if you wanted to change this slightly, you can then take a little bit of this liquor that we've got in here. This is your liquor that you've been soaking the prunes in. Get the pan on nice and hot, and we just grab some sugar. And you can use this as a nice little glaze to go over the top of the little tartlets as well. So ideally what you want to do with these is serve these at room temperature, and they just pop out like that. You don't want to pop these in the fridge, certainly not in the fridge, because the mixture, the butter firms up too much and they go quite hard. But you can see the pastry cooks. So you get it nice and thin like that, the pastry cooks all the way through. So sugar and the rum, this creates a nice little glaze. Now, so often with this, people use a little bit of apricot jam. Nothing wrong with that. You just lose the flavour of the whole thing. You want it all to combine and taste of the same ingredients, the prunes and the rum. So once you've got this syrup, see, then you can take this syrup and pop that over the top. Just glazes them all up. This is just the sugar and the liquor that we had from soaking our prunes as well. But it just brings them alive. So nice and simple. Like that. Put plenty on as well. Sometimes they'll start soak it in a little bit. If that starts to happen, just reduce this glaze down a little bit more. And then to serve it, we can pop this one on there. I've got some of your custard. We've got a nice little bit of custard on there. Just a touch. You can get one of these tarts, which are there. Pop that in the centre. Like I was saying, to continue all this nice flavour throughout the whole thing, it's a good idea to serve a nice little bit of ice cream or a rum cream with this. And then all we can do is just get a nice hot spoon and shape this cream on the top. And there you have it. A lovely rum and prune tart with almonds, with a nice little rum cream to go with it. And who'd have believed? All this from Guernsey. Easy as that. So what you want to do is just cut this straight through the middle. Of course, you end up with that wonderful pureed prune underneath. But look how thin that pastry is. That's the key to it. Get that really, really thin and really tasty. And you just eat it. Delicious. A little bit more sophisticated than this. Anyway, still to go, and we've got recipes from chefs Michael Keynes and Claire Smith, and I'll be cooking for the brilliant Fred Sirieix a little bit later. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, we're heading down by the banks of the River Test for a delicious Spanish-style chicken. I'll see you in a minute. Where on earth did these get this from? Welcome back. Now I'll be chatting to First State staff Fred Sirieix, and I'll be making some amazing Christmas tree decorations in this week's little masterclass in gingerbread a bit later. Okay, now it's time for another recipe. This one, I'm heading to Laverstoke Park, where I'm cooking a Spanish-style chicken on the banks of the beautiful River Test. Enjoy this one. Now this is a great dish. It's kind of a Spanish style chicken, which is a chicken that I'm going to chop up into pieces, barbecue, and I'm going to cook it in a mixture of stock, some rice, some tomatoes, olives, saffron, onions, garlic, a few herbs, peppers, that kind of stuff. It's really, really simple little dish. One pot cooking. So first of all, I'm going to take my onions because I want these to colour in the pan, really. No need to finely dice them, just slice them all up. This is no fuss food, this. Slice them all up like that. A bit of garlic. I'm going to use 3 cloves for this one. It's big, fat cloves as well. These chunks of garlic. And then straight into the pan with some oil. Decent amount of olive oil. And we'll start to basically cook that down. Look at that, straight in there. That's going to go in. Now we can start adding things like tomatoes. I've got these beautiful heritage tomatoes that I've grown at home. These are wonderful. I mean, the Isle of Wight's famous for tomatoes, which is probably 20 miles in that direction, 25 miles there. They produce wonderful tomatoes because they've got their own little microclimate. But in we go, the tomatoes as well. They go straight in. Mixture of different colours. You can use all yellow. You can use green for this one if you want, really. It's going to cook for about sort of 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Like I was saying, it's no fuss food. It's all about great quality ingredients. It's exactly what Spanish cooking is, really. I often think Spanish cooking is so underrated as well. When you look at Italy, they go crazy about their food. The Spaniards have sort of a much more of a laid-back attitude with it, but they know how good the ingredients are. In we go, the tomatoes, like that. A bit of white wine to stop it caramelising too much. As we start to stew everything down. And then I can add things like peppers. These are wonderful. These little romesco peppers, look. Reds, yellows. No need to take the seeds out as well. That all goes in. Now, herb-wise, I'm going to use a little bit of oregano. You can use marjoram. But I've been growing some wonderful oregano at home, and I thought this is the perfect excuse, really, to cook with it. And a few bay leaves. They can go in. Then we go with the bay. Then we go with the oregano. And then some olives. Green olives to this one. Make sure they're pitted, for obvious reasons. And then I'm going to add some stock. And I'm going to stew this down with a lid, just for a little bit first of all, while I prepare my chicken, just to soften up the tomatoes before I add the rice to it. So pop the lid on and just allow that to stew for about sort of 5 minutes while I turn my attention to the chicken. Now with the chicken, really, for a barbecue, we can do what we call cut this for sautés. That cuts into 8 sort of pieces. The best way to do that is, first of all, remove the wishbone. Take the wishbone out. If you think your dreams are going to come true by a dead chicken bone, you need to get out more, clearly. But take the wishbone out. And then we can cut this into pieces. Really, the dark meat, first of all, we can then take the legs off. So you cut either side of the breast like that. Break its legs. And underneath there, there's a little, let's call that the chef's eye, the little chef's oyster. It's that knuckle, that sort of oyster-shaped piece of meat. Make sure you take that off with your knife. Trim that off. Break that off. And the same thing with the other side. No cutting through any joints. Like that. We can do the same thing with this, really. We can cut that into 4. Find the little joint. Cut that through. Find the joint. And cut that through. And while we're really preparing the rest of our chicken, we can actually get this on to cook. And start to sort of char grill a bit. So black pepper, some salt, a little bit of olive oil. We'll pop that on the coals, really. We just want that to colour nicely. So pop that on there before we add it to our pot. So I'll leave that cooking while I then just prepare the rest of our chicken. And for that, we can create a little V. And because we've removed the wishbone out of here, this area here, so when I cut through that little V, it'll cut through a lot easier. Straight through there, straight through there. And as you follow that V down, you chop through the joint. There's no cutting through bones, it's all through joints. Straight through there. And you end up with that one. This one here is the only bit where you chop through. Straight through. Give it a whack. Same on the other side. chop through, give it a whack, and you end up with a nice bit of chicken. This bit you can use for stock sauces, but we're going to cut this through there. So in theory, everybody gets a bit of dark meat now, and everybody gets a bit of white meat. So you've got 4 pieces of dark meat, 4 pieces of white meat, and a little bit for the, well, whatever you want that bit for. And then we're just going to char this a little bit while that's cooking away nicely. I'll just go with my hands. When your chicken starts to colour nicely, do the same thing with the chicken breast, like that, pop that on. And then we can lift off our lid as this starts to soften up. Now the flavouring to this, we're just going to add now some saffron. You've got to treat this with caution, I often think, saffron. People put far too much in, and it ends up sort of a bit like a fake tan. You know what I mean? A bit orange. So saffron should be a nice little flavouring, a flavour enhancer, not caked in it. And then what I'm going to do now is add our chicken and our rice. As soon as your chicken is cooked or coloured, like that, we just nestle that in the liquid. Continue doing the same with this bit of the chicken. What you're doing is just basically getting the colour on the chicken, really. You're not cooking it. It's just getting a nice colour on it. So when you're happy with the chicken and you get a nice bit of colour on it like that, just nestle it in the liquid in there. Roll it around and sit it in there. Now, I said this is one pot cooking. You don't need potatoes with this. You need rice. And for that, I'm going to use some long grain rice. And all I'm going to do with that really is just sprinkle the rice on the top. Not too much. Probably 3 handfuls is enough. 3 and a bit. Top it up with a little bit more stock. And just pop the lid on. Nice pinch of salt. And just cook this for about 15 to 20 minutes. Just to allow that to gently simmer, to cook the chicken with all those lovely flavours, all that nice saffron and tomatoes and olives as they start to stew down. But don't forget you've got rice in there that will cook alongside it. It's the ultimate one-pot dinner, really. Now you can cook this 2 ways. You can cook it on a barbecue like I'm doing. It takes about 15, 20 minutes. On the stove, about the same. Alternatively, in the oven, probably for about half an hour. But either way, keep the lid on it, because what you end up with is that. This mixture, look at the rice, it's cooked. It's not that sort of classic paella. It's got a sauce with it, which is exactly what we want as the tomatoes start to cook as well. So we can season this up. Plenty of salt. And some pepper. And then what I like to do is enrich it. And you enrich it with a good knob of butter. So take a little bit. You just pop that in there and let the whole thing just melt in together. But you can see the rice is nicely cooked. You can do this with potatoes as well if you wanted to. New potatoes will take about 15 minutes, about the same probably. But the rice just makes it just delicious. Takes on that lovely colour. You can see not too much saffron. It's not glow in the dark, fluorescent orange. It's just a nice light colour from that saffron and light flavour. So all we can do with this is just to serve it up. I'll bring the old pot over. It's always nice to serve it either in the pot that you cook it with or in a big pot. And I thought this is probably perfect for it. I suppose if you want to be adventurous and we're in the countryside, this would be delicious with rabbit as well. Partridge, pigeon, pheasant even. You know, that kind of flavour. Look at that chicken. Beautiful. That's where you colour it just before it goes in as well. It helps flavour this stew, but also you've got it for appearance. It doesn't look anemic. And then, of course, you can sprinkle it with a few herbs. I've just got a little bit of savoury. I've got this from my garden. Strip it from the stalks. Just a few bits of this on the top. A little bit of thyme. It's up to you. We've got a touch of fennel. Bit of that. And I think that's kind of all it needs. Whether you serve it in a pot or in a bowl like that, whether you cook it on a barbecue or at home on the stove. It's a lovely dish either way, isn't it? Magical part of the world, that, and just up the road. Still to come, I'm heading back to Bristol, another one of my food adventures, and I'll be showing you how to make gingerbread decorations for your tree in this week's little masterclass, and the ginger cake. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, I'll be serving up duck confit, one of my favourite dishes, for first date star Fred Sirieix. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now, coming up, I'll be making gingerbread Christmas tree decorations in this week's little masterclass, and Chef Michael Keynes and Claire Smith will be firing up the stoves a little bit later. But first, from Snack Masters to First Date, it's the one and only Fred Sirieix! Great to have you on the show. Great to have you at the house as well. I mean, first of all, congratulations on everything you've done. You've got to be one of the busiest people I know. Busy in television, busy in doing what you're doing in terms of author and everything else. So it's nice to cook for you. So I thought I'd do you a dish from France. I'd do a classic duck confit.
I love duck confit.
Well, I've just been told this. He's been brought up on it, so no pressure there. Then we've got a beautiful little duck confit with some nice little bit of white beans, and I'm going to do this with a simple little sauce, touch of sherry vinegar in it as well. But it all starts off with the classic duck confit. 15 grams of salt per kilo of duck, but just sprinkle the amount of salt over the top. You must weigh it. It's really, really quite important. A little bit of garlic, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of bay leaf over the top. But, I mean, first of all, what a career you've had, not just in terms of, you know, growing up as a kid in France and stuff like that. But interestingly, you wanted to be a chef, first of all. That was the food was your first love, really.
Yeah, I wanted to be a chef. Actually, I wanted to be a pastry chef. And my mom said, you know, you should become a chef because, you know, when you're a pastry chef, you're too limited. You know, your horizon needs to be extended here. So I joined a catering college. I was in Suet, and with great teachers. I mean, the thing about education is about the inspiration, and it's about the standards that you have in the school. And it was like incredible. That school was just fantastic. Anyway, so I wanted to be a chef, and then I changed my mind, and you know, I was one of the best students there in the first year. And after the first year, you go to do a placement, you do a stage in one of the grand palaces, you know, of France.
Yeah.
And I changed my mind at the last minute. The teachers could not believe it. But you know, truly, I didn't see myself spending my life in between four walls. I needed that freedom. I needed that sense of creativity, which I don't think the cooking could give me. And I just wanted the freedom and be in the room and meet people.
It is. I mean, you've picked your career perfectly. Look, we've just got the duck. What you need to do is you leave it overnight, ideally overnight, 24 hours. This is what it ends up when it's been salted. Slightly changes colour. Wash this off. Just literally, just rinse it under the cold water tap. Drain off a little bit of the water, and then pop this in the duck fat. And this is the thing: you duck fat or goose fat. What you're just going to do is just rinse this off. I've just got some garlic, I've got some bay leaf and thyme, and you can, if you want, take the aromats, this garlic, bay leaf and thyme, pop that in there as well, and gradually cook this. You can either do this in the oven or on the stove top. It takes a good couple of hours, doesn't it, really? Just gently ticking away nicely. But wasn't it something that a story I was reading, wasn't it pasta that changed your career path, really? It was an Italian dish that changed your career path. It was. From being a chef to go in front of house?
Well, I was pondering for a while, but then I was cooking at home one weekend, and I was making fresh pasta, and I kind of muddled up the proportions. Anyway, I made pasta for the whole neighborhood. And then I was talking with my parents, and I said, look, I think I'm going to change my option. You know, I really can't carry on to do that. And my mom couldn't believe it. She said, you can't just be going front of house. You know, you've got to be a chef. Chef's career is much better than front of house. But, you know, for me to go where I've trained, I've only trained with the best. I've only worked in the best places. And, you know, the principles that you have in the front of house in service are the same that now, for example, are guiding my TV career.
Yeah.
And I made absolutely the right choice.
But it's interesting you say that. But speaking to your parents, you're talking about your mum. What was the conversation like when you thought, not only am I going to do that, and you worked in some amazing places in France, to then leave that and go to England? Go to England, and you're gonna go to England? I can't imagine what that was like back then.
I think it was a fantasy.
Right.
It was a fantasy because, you know, as a 16-year-old, I mean, as a teenager, I used to write poetry, and it was always in English. I used to play the air guitar in front of the mirror, you know, playing AC/DC, you know. Right. And I love speaking English, and I wanted to live in England. And a friend of mine who was at catering college said he was working at La Claire, and he said, I can get you a job. So I finished my study in June. I did not get the result of my exam. My poor mom, she was so upset. And I arrived in London, and it was such an incredible eye-opener to arrive in London. Suddenly I was living in English, I was living my dream. It was like a fantasy, it was like a dream come true. And, you know, it was a really exciting time for me. Really exciting.
You say that, I mean, the Tante Claire as well. I mean, quite an interesting story of past. You've got Claire Smith, who went on to be head chef with Gordon at Royal Hospital Road, the same location. I knocked on the door at Le Tante Claire because I was working at another Michelin star restaurant and was going to literally take the job at Le Tante Claire, but ran off with the great Pierre Kaufman. We could have actually been working together almost at the same time.
We could have, yeah. I was at the time when Paul Rhodes was there, Tom Akins was there, Eric Chavot. It was an incredible team in the kitchen. But you see, I remember those names in the kitchen because we are all fixated on chefs. But Tante Claire was very much a place that was run. I mean, obviously it was about the food, but it was run from the front because this is how you're gonna.
It's the first thing you see. I dare say it is one of the most, if not the most important thing, because it's the first thing the customer sees. It's the last thing you see.
If the front doesn't work, you know, then your food is not going to taste as good as it should.
So when did you think, you know? I mean, doing that sort of stuff, and you mentioned the fact that you worked with some amazing places. I mean, you genuinely worked with some amazing places until quite recently, because it was only, a year ago, where you just go, I'm going to do a different thing?
That's right. I was too busy this year, and I had to concentrate on something. You know, unfortunately, I don't have the ubiquitous gift, you know. I can't be in two places at once. So I thought, you know, what am I going to do now? So I just decided to concentrate on TV and other endeavors, which has worked well for me so far.
Because, I mean, doing things like First Dates, we're now in series 15?
Is it?
Yeah, 15 series.
Unbelievable.
Because to do a job like that, you kind of known when you were doing it, it would be a success that it went on to be, and still is.
I didn't know it was a success, but like everything I do, and I started with my mom, you know, when I was 16, because she wanted me to go to the best catering college, because her thing was, we don't have money, but you're going to get the best education that we can give you. She was adamant I was going to go there. Because I went there, I had the best teaching with the best teachers. Some people that still inspire me now. I can still hear their mind, you know, ringing inside my head.
But when you speak to you, you're very driven now. You must have been the same when you were a young kid.
Always.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, I like to do things well. I like to do the things, you know, with the right people. I like it done fast. And I like to enjoy it while I do it. You know, it's very important for me to have fun while I do things.
Exactly. So we got that. This is your duck legs after they've been cooked for a couple of hours. Allow these to cool down. There is another famous French dish called a rillette, which is just amazing, where you rip up the duck mixed together with the fat and you spread that on toast. It's just the best thing ever as well. You can have that. But if you didn't want to do it this way, you can actually buy the confit done in cans ready for you, which get to a stage which is that, and then that's just basically chilled. And all we do is we just sprinkle this with a bit of honey.
That takes me back. You know, when I was at catering college, I was at boarding school, and we were in a dormitory, and almost every night we had a bottle of wine, and we were doing parties. Yeah. And our parties was like duck confit like that in a tin. We used to warm it up. Yeah. We used to have rillette, as you're talking about, some cheese.
Exactly.
And this is how we spend our evening in a dormitory.
So, I mean, doing stuff what you're doing now, I mean, you still got the same buzz. But, I mean, there's anything. I mean, it's gone for that first date. It suits you perfectly, doesn't it? Really. I mean, you genuinely love it.
I love people. You know, first of all, we are running a restaurant. It's a real restaurant, and
is it a real restaurant?
It is a real restaurant. You know, when the lockdown started, you know, and the curfew started, we were filming. We had to close the restaurant at 10 o'clock. This is just mad because we are actually effectively a TV studio, but we are a real restaurant. So we were forced to shut the place at 10 o'clock, like everybody else.
But you must have had some amazing backstories from that as well. I mean, particularly in your job. I mean, you don't see it. I worked in the behind the scenes for 30 odd years in the kitchen. You're at the forefront of all that. I mean, you must have seen some surreal and some quite odd things that happen in restaurants.
Well, I mean, it's life. It's the whole array of life is there in a restaurant. People go and they propose, you know, they celebrate their anniversary. People just break up at the table. People have big business arguments. They sign deals. You know, everything happens in a restaurant, you know, and that's very interesting as well, you know, because when you're working, you know, in a restaurant, you know, when you start your career, you think that everybody's having fun, you know, when they are at the table. But actually, a lot of people are working very hard while they are at the table. And I know that they are not working, like digging the roads or anything. Yeah. But they are having a lunch and they are trying to do their business dealing because this is the way things are done.
Just going to recap what we've got here. We've got a nice little bit of salad. Now, this is what I wanted to do this for you as well, but this is a little bit of frisée.
I love frisée.
A little bit of French dressing.
How did you make your French dressing? You use mustard?
I use a tiny bit of Dijon mustard.
Ah, that's the way.
A bit of Dijon mustard, water, veg oil, and white wine vinegar.
Perfect.
That's it. Is that right?
Yeah.
But the water is the key, isn't it, to bring it all together? A little bit of water. And the great Pierre Kaufmann taught me that as well. So I was only going to blame him if you got that wrong. Anyway, but we're just going to mix this all together. And this is the simple bean thing. I mean, you don't have to do anything with it. You just put salt, pepper, butter, cream.
Oh, yes.
Happy with that?
Oh, yes.
It's got to be creamy, like that.
Looks beautiful.
Just like that. A nice little bit of salt at the end. Obviously, be careful of the amount of salt you put in, because the
not good for your heart, but it's good for the taste buds.
Well, this is generally, and you just pop that on here as well.
Oh, that's nice and creamy, James.
Happy with that?
Yes.
Bit of that on here. And then we've got a little bit of frisée salad.
I mean, this is like I'm in France.
Well, I don't know. Well, I did train in France.
Well, I can see.
I had some amazing times in France. Down in Saint-Emilion as well, Hotel de Plaisance. Another place, was 2-star, I don't know where it is now, but back then. And then we got this duck confit. So what you do with this is you just drizzle the honey over the top and roast it in the oven for about 20 minutes. Nice hot oven. And I've got a little stock that I'm reducing down now with a bit of sherry vinegar. So this is just some of the little bit of stock that I've reduced down, just a touch. Bit of sherry vinegar, bit of butter going in there. And I think the little bit of sherry vinegar really helps with this. It just cuts through the
acidity,
everything else. And all we're going to do is just take a little bit of this sauce.
This is where you see the chef, right, in the sauce?
Yeah, and just drizzle it over the top and around the edge.
Oh la la, look at that. Am I going to get to eat it, or
you do get to eat it? Well, first of all, these guys have got to make sure it's in focus. So off you go. Nice little. They call this a pack shot, but there you go. It's like Tony Hart Art Gallery. Off you go. There we go. Bon appetit.
Oh, thank you very much.
Also, you can take this leftover duck if you want and treat it like...
Can I?
Well, you can take this... treat it like crispy duck. You break it all up and you see it just everything just melts.
The sauce is delicious, James.
I just love duck confit. With the beans, it's lovely, no?
Yeah. And this beautiful frisée salad there with the dressing, with the lardon. I feel like I'm in the southwest of France.
Happy?
Yeah.
We just need the weather. Exactly. There we go. There'll be more from Fred later on in the show, and I'm off to Bristol on another one of my food adventures shortly. But join me again after the break while we're putting our feet up and letting the brilliant Michael Caines loose in the kitchen. I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now we'll be making gingerbread Christmas tree decorations that are perfect for Santa to snack on this week's Little Masterclass. And there'll be loads more from my guest, Fred Sirieix, a little bit later. But first, I'm here with a Michelin-starred Lord of Lipston Manor and the daddy of Devon food scene. It's Mr. Michael Caines is here! Wonderful to have you back then, Chefy. What are you going to be doing? Because this is one of my favourite things, pheasant anyway, game. What are you going to be doing with it?
Well, I'm going to be loading it up with a little bit of pheasant. what we're gonna do is do lentils. So I've got some lentils here. So we just blanched the lentils, got some lovely aromats.
Yeah.
We've got shallots, onions spiked with clove, a little bouquet garni, some garlic peeled and carrot that we're gonna do. Nice slow cooking. We blanch it first, so they've been blanched only,
Now,
not
you
being
call it
soaked.
à la Francais because you keep the veg whole and you're going to use them
Yes,
later on.
that's right. So I'm going to use that back in it. And also because we're going to finish it with a little bit of lardon over here, a little smoked bacon and some chopped parsley. Then we've got a pheasant breast. I've chosen breast because normally whole in the oven takes a little bit longer. Most people can get hold of the breast. So I'm just going to simply roast that with some of the veg that we've taken out and then put that in the oven. And then we're going to finish it with the lentils and the button onions, which I've got on here. What I've got here is simply water, a little bit of sugar and thyme and butter. And this is just the liquid completely reduced down.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to caramelise them to create some glaze.
The stage is all yours, the oven's all yours, so off you go.
Thank you. So it's going to start off with the lentils. Lentil de Puy, or a green lentil. So we're going to put that in. We just blanch them up to the boil and then cold water. Then what we're going to add to this is our aromat. So we've just got some carrot, bouquet garni. So we've got studded onion.
I mean, this is the essence of a lot of your cooking, isn't it? Classically French.
Yeah, I mean, the classic, the basics are always good to build on. I mean, we modernise everything we do. We're just going to put a little bit of chicken stock cube in there. It's absolutely fine. We just bring that up to the boil, let that reduce down and cook it really, really slowly. 2 hours, really, up to the boil, really, really slow cook, and then they become really soft and delicious. Okay. So we'll put that to one side because I've already got some cooked.
So now you're on about the pheasant now.
So pheasant now. So just going to... So what I want to start to do is just render the breast fat down because it's a game bird, especially this time of year. The pheasants have just come off of coming into season. So they tend to have a little bit more fat in them. So you can see there's some nice fat on the breast itself. So what I want to do is just season. So a little bit of sea salt, some pepper, season both sides. I'm just going to cook 2 breasts. What I want to do is start the pan off nice and hot to get it rendering. So, and also what I'm going to do while that gets to heat is I'm also going to look at getting some of that veg back.
Right.
There's some real gains.
This is in the style of France that you would, the French. You put the veg back into it.
Exactly. So I've got some garlic here, which is nice and soft and full flavoured. It's a really soft garlic, so we're going to put that into the pan as well. But also, the stock pot is full of flavour. So rather than waste that, I just want to cut that in half. We're going to glaze the carrot.
So obviously, I mean, this year's been surreal for you. Last time you were on the show, you're about to open a place. Yeah, I mean, they've then gone on to open two places since then. Two places?
We were going to open the Cove, which is what we did. We opened the Cove restaurant in Cornwall. 2 weeks later, lockdown. So obviously not a great start. However, nevertheless, it was.
This was an old Rick Stein site, was it?
No, that came later.
That's the second one. Sorry.
Yeah. So we closed down, then we reopened, and it was absolutely balmy. During closure, though, we were approached by the agent, and he said, "Look," he said, "I've got a restaurant that literally is a turnkey. It's one of Rick Stein's." So I went down, had a look. Porthleven, beautiful fishing port in the most southerly port in the UK. So it seemed, it's only sort of an hour and a half from my home. So it seemed quite a logical thing for me to do, to sort of go to Cornwall.
Not only that, I then look at social media the other week and bang, you're on again. You're about to open somewhere else.
so in Exmouth, this was planned normally to open this year. And
this is a great site.
Absolutely wonderful site. So very, very lucky. So that's currently being fitted out. And what we're going to do is that literally will be finished in just literally now. And we're going to be opening up on the 1st of March. So really, I think we'll all need a party by then, James.
I think I might be down there as well.
Exactly.
Party on the beach, exactly. So we've got the pheasant in the oven.
Pheasant in the oven.
This is the lentil bit that you're doing.
Yeah, so this is the bit that I call à la Francais. So what I'm doing is now I'm just rendering down the fat in these lovely lardons. So you can use a smoked pancetta or just literally smoked bacon. Yeah. So what I've got here is just a nice rendering And then I'm going to add my lentils.
I mean, we talked about an extra boy, but you ended up working in France, you worked in London, you worked all over the place. And I remember when I was training, you made Gidley Park your home. That
Yes.
was your 2-star place. And then to venture out on your own before these new places you got, you set up, well, tell us where you set up now, because you've got a spectacular hotel right on the coast anyway.
Yeah, well, it's Lympstone Manor, and it's now open 3.5 years. We've had our first harvest from our grapes, so we're going to make sparkling wines, literally fermenting as we speak. So it's really fantastic. So the lentils are really soft.
Yeah.
So this is good. And what I will like about this, if I put some of the veg back in, the parsley is one of those herbs that's really robust. So I want to get that in quite early so that I can cook it. And then I'm going to Monty O'Burr. So I'm going to add some butter.
This is where I like Michael. He keeps coming back. Just check out this butter going in here.
So this actually liaises all the sauce, and you then have a nice finish, okay? So it also takes away some of the
You're actually going to put sauce in there as well, are you?
Well, you know, I thought you never mentioned that, but I managed to bring a little bit of jus from the lockdown jus, we're going to call this, left over. Jake, I'm just going to put a little bit of this lovely pheasant red
Jake,
wine.
your lovely chef,
Fantastic.
made this. Yeah.
And then look, that's it. So what I want to do now, just leave that to rest. So there we are, lentils.
Yeah.
The veg back through, and not wasting anything. And as we're talking about, venison's a bit more expensive, pheasant's really cheap. So let's take that out, put it there. And what I do now is bring...
Right. And those onions look amazing.
Yeah, glazed onions, really simple to do. And if you can't get silver skin onions, then just use shallots. It's equally as good, just the smaller shallots. They're really good. You can get the frozen silver skin, but they're not as good. So I'm going to use that lovely carrot. It's caramelised, so that's got all the flavours from the lentil. Then we're going to just... I like to serve this lentil on the side, almost like a side dish, because it is so flavoursome. So you can get your side order, your lentils, and just put them on the side.
Yeah.
Because they really are delicious. And what we do now, we take our garlic, which we caramelise, and we'll put them around, bit of garlic. So they've been nice and soft, beautifully caramelised as well. Yeah. Our button onions, just put them around like so.
You just know they're going to... And they're just cooked with just sugar, butter and water.
So yeah, sugar and a little bit of thyme in there. Pinch of sugar, because they've got their own sweetness.
Okay.
And then I'm not even going to bother to cut that breast. Yeah. And we're going to put that on. And then finally, jus à la Jake. Just a little bit of... So we're going to just got a little bit of sauce. And what I like about cooking the lentils this way is that when you taste them, they're so full of flavour. Lovely and soft, really, really delicious. You can get a little bit of olive oil and just put it around. And the reason I'm doing that is just to help split the sauce a little bit. Yeah. So then all we do is then just heat up our jus. You don't have to use the jus. This is already, as it is, delicious. And then we're just going to put a little bit of the pheasant jus around. And then there we go.
How good does that look? Michael Keynes, everybody. Right, I'm all set. Go on then. I have to say, this time of year, December time into January for pheasants, I think is the best time.
Yeah, I agree.
They start to fatten up. You see that nice little bit of corn that they're eating on the skin and on the fat as well.
And it's not a strong game. You know, a lot of people think that game is going to be really strong. Pheasant isn't. It's almost farmed these days. But very, 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 very lovely meat. Cheap and inexpensive and delicious. So
the pieces of garlic as well taste amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So just caramelised beautifully.
Thanks for that. Michael Keynes, everybody. Top dish, that. Love that. Now, the equally talented Claire Smith will be cooking for me in a bit, and I'll be chatting some more to Fred in a second. But after the break, I'll be heading out on another one of my food adventures, this time to the city of Bristol. I like this swinging chair. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Now I'll be making gingerbread Christmas tree decorations and a lovely ginger cake in this week's Little Masterclass. There'll be more from my guest Fred coming up very shortly. But before all that, I thought I'd take a look back at some of the dishes you've been cooking at home. So first up, we've got a few today, is Martin Cherrett. He had got this wonderful suet pudding that I cooked on the show a few weeks ago. It's exactly the sort of comfort food you need at this time of the year. You wouldn't believe it, the sun's shining, but it is cold out here anyway. Well done to Danielle Lester for making this strawberry and amaretto trifle. It looks the perfect boozy dessert in a proper dish as well. And we got another seasonal recipe, this time from Tara Birch, who made this stunning festive pavlova. Looks very Christmassy with the holly on the top. And finally, top marks to Elizabeth Midgley for a photo of a turkey Wellington. How good does that look? Well done to all those, and do keep sending in your pictures and videos coming in. We'll love to see what you've been inspired to cook at home. Now, it's time to take a look back at another one of my favourite food adventures. This week, I'm going underground. I'm serving up a mixed grill deep below the stunning scenery of the Wye Valley. Enjoy this one. I did. I've been touring Bristol with local chef Romy Gill. And I've loved seeing all this cosmopolitan city has to offer. But beyond the urban grind are rolling pastures, ideal for rearing animals. So I'm on my way to meet a livestock farmer who's renowned for producing some of the finest meat in the world. Nestled in the beautiful Wye Valley is Huncham Farm, which is owned and run by rare breed farmer Richard Vaughan. It's been in his family for nearly 400 years. And today the farm rears 3 specific breeds of livestock to the highest of standards: Ryland sheep, Longhorn cattle and middleweight pigs. Well, Richard, first of all, it's a fabulous area to have a farm anyway, isn't it, really? It's just
very pretty, the Wye Valley, yeah.
I spent my childhood like this. Well, not in there, but literally smelling like this because we were pig farmers. But I've never seen sows, particularly with young ones, so chilled out.
Well, it's the way we treat them, the way we look after them.
So tell me about the middleweights then, because as a pig, these are really rare.
Yeah, the middleweight in the 30s reigned supreme and was called the London porker. And in that time, it was exported to Japan. The Japanese consider it the finest pork pig in the world. They've put a monument up in honour of the breed, and it said the emperor will only eat pork from middleweights. So
we've seen the pigs. Can we look at some more?
Yeah, of course. We've got the cattle and the sheep.
Sounds pretty good. Richard is clearly not a man who settles for second best. And that's the way it should be. Much like a good grape makes a fine wine. These animals aren't just well looked after, they're bred to perfection.
These are Ryland sheep.
Look amazing.
Well, they were bred in the Ross area of Herefordshire,
right,
and were always called the sweetmeat of Herefordshire.
And are these, like the pigs, difficult to produce?
Yes, they're not as productive as modern sheep, but they do taste delicious. A 2-star Michelin chef rang me one day and said he'd just eaten
Now, I know this guy. This is Raymond Blanc, isn't it?
That's Raymond Blanc, yeah.
Yeah, what was he using it for?
Well, he wanted to use it for the state visit for President Sarkozy when he came over here.
Well, from happy sheep, happy pigs to happy cattle, because I've heard that your beef is second to none.
Well, we do Longhorn cattle, so let me show you the Longhorns. They're on down here.
I'm looking forward to it. So pork for the Emperor of Japan, lamb for the President of France. Who's buying the beef?
Well, these are some of our Longhorns. The Longhorn was the breed that made England famous for roast beef. We grow these slowly, deliberately, so we typically take them up to about 30 months. To my way of thinking, the older animal has more intense beefy flavour, and Heston chose my Longhorn beef for his idea of perfection.
Well, if it's good enough for him, Richard, it's good enough for me. It's fantastic. What an amazing place you've got here. I'm so impressed, I cannot tell you. I've got to take some with me, but I don't just want the beef.
Well, there you are, James. There's a bit of pig, bit of beef, bit of lamb. Happy eating.
Richard,
well, you're a big crew, aren't you?
And I found a rather unusual but fitting spot to set up my mobile kitchen. Underneath the world-famous Royal Forest of Dean is a cave system that's been mined for iron ores and precious ochres for more than 4,500 years. This really is an amazing place, and they reckon just this mine goes on for about 20 miles and joins on with 3 other mines. And I can't think of any better dish, particularly down here in these caves, than to use this amazing meat and create an iconic dish that you never really see on the menu nowadays, a mixed grill. I'm going to serve it with a peppercorn sauce. Really simple. So the first thing I'm going to do is cook our steak. And for that, all we want to do is just grab a little bit of oil, not too much, and then grab your steak. I'm not going to season this till after it's cooked. And then this just goes onto a hot griddle. And you want to cook this for no more than about sort of 5-6 minutes. While that's on the griddle, we can turn our attention to our lamb chops again. Because you've got this fat on there, you hardly need any fat, as in oil, over the top. It's just relying on the quality of the meat. That's the key to a good quality mixed grill, particularly on a griddle like this, where you want it really nice and hot, where you get these lines over the top. By seasoning it, it just burns the salt and pepper. Anyway, it just falls off. You're better off doing it afterwards. I'll quickly wash my hands. And when you're using a griddle pan like this, leave it enough time for it to just naturally lift off. If it doesn't come off after about sort of 2 minutes, the griddle's not hot enough, but also you've been too keen. You want to leave it on a little bit. So when you come to that stage, you get these beautiful lines on it. Then, and only then, do you turn the lamb like that. Same with the steak. Just check that out. Fantastic. When you get really, really good quality meat, it's guaranteed, really. Look at the crispy fat. It's exactly what you want. When I was thinking of dishes to cook, you know, it's quite difficult to cook in a cave anyway, but you're thinking of iconic sort of dishes that have fallen out of favour over the years, and the mixed grill has got to be one of them. You kind of have it when you're on holiday in Spain, in those classic Spanish restaurants. An English mixed grill, those ones. And we just leave it to rest. As important it is to get good quality meat, whatever you do, you need to leave it to rest. So at the same time as we've got the lamb on, we'll start to cook our sausages. It's just going to go straight on as well. And our kidney. Kidney's an essential thing with mixed grill, really. You don't have to use it, but pig's or lamb's kidney is really good. So pop your kidney on. How good does that look? So we take the kidneys off, and again, leave it to rest slightly. Don't just put it straight on the plate. This steak is ready. Just look at that. Beautiful piece of rump steak. You don't want to overcook it. And look at this pork. I mean, I haven't seen pork as good as this, to be honest with you. I just know it's going to taste amazing. It's like the best back bacon. Just cook it one side. No seasoning as well for this one. Just rely on all that nice fat to flavour it all nicely. And for our sauce, I'm going to go pretty iconic, really, for this one. Classic peppercorn sauce. The peppercorns, really, I've got here. We've got a white, pink, we've got green, and we've got black. Different variants of different heats, different flavours, different strengths. What I want to do for this, first of all, is just grab a little bit of shallot. You don't have to put onions with it, but I think it benefits from it as well. But just keeping it really simple. I'm actually so tempted to get a lamb chop, to be honest, and eat this while I'm doing this, but grab yourself a little bit of shallot, touch of garlic, not too much. While that's having a course, check on your just look at that pork. Delicious. There isn't such a thing as good cheap food. There really isn't, because you've seen the amount of time that Richard takes over it, you know. It's a labour of love, really. And the care that he looks after the animals reflects on the food that you're cooking. You have to do so little to it. Just grill it. Just do nothing else. And appreciate the quality of it more than anything else. But a little bit of garlic. Just a touch. Like that. And then we'll just turn this over. So sausages are cooked. They're done. And then what I'll do is I'll just take this grill, just turn it slightly like that. Because then what you do, you can't have mixed grill, of course, without tomatoes. Just going to cut a few tomatoes up. Just stick them on. You could put a few leeks on if you wanted to. It's entirely up to you. Like that. And then our sauce. So for this, tiny little bit of butter in the pan. You don't want to brown the shallots and garlic, so just basically just put these in and just sweat them nicely for a couple of minutes. Now, it's purely an option for this. You could use brandy, you can use mustard. If you're going to use mustard, just a little bit of Dijon would be fine. Don't use English mustard. Way, way too strong for this sort of stuff. But a little bit of brandy, not too much. I never thought I'd be doing this in a cave, to be honest with you. But burn off the brandy. Get rid of that alcohol, so you're just left with the sort of flavour of this. And then really good quality beef stock. The liquid beef stock. You can't really make this out of the powdered beef stock. You don't get the same texture. And reduce this down. And while this is reducing down, we can season our lovely meat here. I can't stress the importance, really, of allowing meat to rest once it cooks. And the meat will taste very, very different. So with this, I've got this wonderful little bit of pork. I've got the lamb. Of course, they've got these delicious sausages as well. We've got to put them on. It is absolutely spectacular, this sort of stuff. But look at this. This is a proper mixed grill. And then, of course, we've got our steak. And that is what a rump steak should look like. And you can tell when you're carving it. I just know it's going to be good. And then finally what we're going to do is get some peppercorns. You can crush these. I've just lightly crushed a few bits of green peppercorns, so we're going to pop them in as well. We'll put a few pink ones in there as well. These are much more floral in terms of taste. A little bit of fresh thyme. Just rip up a few bits of that. All the while you're allowing this to reduce down. We'll grab our tomatoes. This is a proper dish. And then you bring it all together with just a touch of double cream. Not loads of double cream. Now, always, always with a good quality sauce, you finish it with a touch of butter. Small amount of seasoning, salt particularly, because obviously you've got the peppercorns in there. Little taste. Look at this. If there's any chefs there watching, and some of them are, because every now and then they get an afternoon off, just go back and write a menu again, will you? And just put mixed grill on it. I'm not saying do this sort of size portion, for sure. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a proper plate of food. Mixed grill with a classic peppercorn sauce. I've got to find my way out of here now. There you have it, a hearty feast fit for a king. Or caveman. Delicious. Still to come, I've got a gingerbread and ginger cake masterclass. There'll be more from first date star Fred Sirieix very shortly. But after the break, you're in for a treat because the amazing, talented Claire Smith will be in the kitchen preparing an iconic recipe that you do not want to miss. You're going to want to check this out. It is amazing. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now I'll be teaching you everything you want to know about gingerbread decorations for your Christmas tree in today's little masterclass. And I'll be laying on lunch for Fred Sirieix very shortly. But first, I'm here with a chef who I think is easy in the top 10 chefs working anywhere in the world right now. In fact, I'm going to say top 5 chefs anywhere in the world right now because she's giving an extra 20 quid. It's the incredible Claire Smith, everybody! What are you going to be doing? Quite a famous dish you're going to be making as well.
Yeah, very famous. I'm going to be making a version of, not
a version of,
Paul Bocuse's truffle soup. But it's really lovely wintry dish, full of flavour.
It is very, very famous. So
this time of year.
The kitchen's yours, so off you go.
We're just going to start with this. So I've used brisket of beef.
Yeah.
Which is super tasty.
Yeah.
I'm going to just start seasoning it up a little bit.
Now, obviously, I mean, this year has been, surreal for restaurants and stuff like that. You don't seem to have changed anything. You're still exactly the same as what you were before.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we are luckily, thankfully, very busy. I mean, since we've opened with loads of support, we've got loads of regulars, and we're just determined to keep delivering what people expect of Core. I mean, we're still 3 years old, so it's not an old restaurant, so we were always evolving anyway, so I think we're still not where we want to be, but it's been great, you know.
It's interesting you say that, though, because you're not where you want to be, but only 3 years old. But, I mean, I would have said that if it wasn't for this, I don't mean to, but you must have been close to 3 stars, because you were, I mean, a little bit of history about yourself. You ran Royal Hospital Road for Gordon for, how many years were you there, 12 years?
Yeah, maybe even longer, probably. Well, I ran it for about sort of 8 to 10 years I was there for, but yeah, before that I spent, you know, sort of 3.5 years there working my way through the kitchen before I went to work for Alain Ducasse. But it's, yeah, I always think, you know, Michelin is Michelin. They're the ones that award the stars, and we've just got to focus on our customers.
So what have you got in here then? You're just browning it off nicely.
Right, just going to brown it off. I'll take it out. Then vegetables are going in. We're just going to sweat them down a little bit.
Now, we mentioned Bacchus. A lot of people maybe watching this won't know who he is, who he was.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably
one of the greatest, if not the greatest.
Of all time, yeah. And someone that, you know, all us chefs, he's like the godfather, isn't he? I mean, it's the one thing I would say about Paul Bacchus is about the hospitality you receive and the generosity, how they make you feel when you dine there. And when you dine at Paul Bacchus, you know you're in the most amazing restaurant. So, that's in red. I put a little bit of red wine vinegar, deglazed it with that, a touch of brandy, and then some red wine. Back in there now with the brisket, and then we're going to put in some beef stock. So I've got a nice beef stock. Now this will take probably, you know, 2.5, 3 hours to braise gently. Okay. All the flavour's going to be in that. I'm just going to put a little cartouche on the top, just to keep it.
So once that's been cooking for 3 hours, let it cool, and then this is what you end up with.
Okay, so we end up with this, which is our beef brisket. We're going to let everything cool. Everything must be cold to make the soup. So I've done everything beforehand. We've strained the stock off. The stock's there. So now we're just going to have to build it. So we've got our little soup tureen dish here, and then we're going to start with all the vegetables in. So these have just been sweated down, a little bit of butter beforehand. A few onions, some button mushrooms. Again, not traditional button mushrooms in the soup. It's just celery and carrots and onions, but we've got some of those in there.
You're allowed to adapt.
I think it's evolution. So some diced black truffle going in there, and then we're going to put some of this diced beef brisket.
Now you've got your restaurant Core as well. I mean, it's going from strength to strength, like you say. You've not been open very long as well. There's rumours, it may be correct, that you're looking at further afield as well. Australia.
Yeah, it's quite far afield. It's yes.
Most people are at a restaurant that you can drive to, but why Australia?
I used to live and work in Australia when I was younger, and I absolutely loved Sydney. And this opportunity came up, and it has view over Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, and we have the prime location on the 24th floor overlooking basically the whole of Sydney. It doesn't happen very often that someone's going to offer you a site like that with really great partners. So I thought, you might as well give it a go.
So is that something for 2020, 2021? Is that? I mean, presumably that's on the horizon for sort of mid next year, is it?
Fingers crossed. I mean, they're still carrying on building it, so hopefully.
It's somewhere to look forward to if you're going on holidays.
Definitely, and I think that was one of the key things. So I thought, if I'm going to open a restaurant somewhere, I want to go somewhere that I enjoy being, and I love Sydney.
I've never been to Australia in my life, but it's a reason where we're definitely going to go now. So you put the stock in there as well,
yeah? So I've put the brisket, I put some diced chicken livers in. Again, they were just seared off before. Okay. I've got some Noily Prat in there. Which is a little vermouth. It just adds a little freshness. This was something he just put in raw into the dish. And then this is black truffle juice, which you can buy in these little tins, and it's another delicious ingredient. So a nice spoonful of that in there. And then we're just going to.
This is the tricky bit, the pastry, because you ideally want it to cook and dome up, don't you, as well?
Yeah.
That's why you've done everything cold.
You need to get it to stick to it. So we'll just put a little bit of egg around the little soup tureen. These are, say, fun. We do these tiny little ones at the restaurant as like a amuse-bouche. So we're going to get the pastry on there. Just make sure we get it stuck to the sides. And then it's really a case of just decorating it. So it's freedom of choice. I think little lattices always work well on there, but I'm going to do some little leaves, but just a bit of egg wash. And this as well can be, normally we'll put it in the fridge and let it set for an hour or so before putting it in the oven, but it can be done the day before. So we're just going to garnish it and dress it. And then little black truffle ones as well.
Black truffle leaf. But this is the thing with Bacuse's food anyway, what it is that luxury. It's that, you know, if you're going to go down there, it's a pilgrimage to it.
They don't hold back.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the dessert trolley they bring out.
I remember that.
It's just like they say, what would you like? And you have, I'll say, I'll have, you know, the creme brulee, and they're like, and with that, and you're like, well, you know, I'll have the profiteroles and with that, and it's like, wow. But yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic restaurant, and I still think, you know, people should make that journey to Paul Bocuse, even though he's not there.
Well, people make it to yours nowadays as well. So the great thing about this, you can make it easily in advance.
Yeah.
Get to this stage, stick it in the fridge, and then cook it from that, I take it.
Yeah, that's it. It's good to go. But as I say, that can stay.
Yeah.
That can stay in the fridge. Well,
and then you put it in the oven for how long? So I'll let you put
like 8 to 10 minutes.
Right.
And then that goes in there.
And then, funny enough, just by chance, we've got some that you've done earlier.
So here they are. Hopefully they'll have worked. And that is.
Just look at these.
That is.
How good do they look?
They have domed up.
Well, there you go. Claire Smith, everybody. Let's have a dive into this. You just.
I could smell it from
This
here.
is what do you know what I love about great chefs? They just go, there you go, say nothing. Claire Smith, everybody. Brilliant. That is amazing. That is amazing.
It is pure luxury. Just black truffle.
How would you do it though? I've just got my game with the Christmas decorations. I can't believe I'm doing gingerbread men straight after this, to be honest with you. But that is absolutely amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Best of luck with everything as well. Right, still to come, I'll be cooking a beautiful piece of turbot for Fred Sirieix, and I'll be right here in just a minute with a masterclass in gingerbread Christmas decorations straight after that. I'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Now, there'll be more from my guest, Fred Sirieix, in just a couple of minutes. But first, it's time for this week's little masterclass. And with Christmas just around the corner, I'm going to show you how to make two things that are lovely. A ginger cake and also some edible Christmas tree decorations using gingerbread. We're going to talk about the gingerbread first for this one. So I've got a mixture of ingredients over here. I've got some eggs, I've got some sugar. I used light brown sugar for this one. You can use the dark brown sugar, it just makes it stronger in flavour. I've of course got some ginger, I've got some cinnamon, I've got a little bit of bicarb, some golden syrup, that's where you get that nice sort of crunch as that dries out. We've got a nice little bit of the butter and some flour. So you start off with all the dry ingredients first. And this is where you can actually use one of these blenders. It's much easier. So dry ingredients go in first, the sugar, the flour, the spices, the ginger and the cinnamon, together with the bicarb soda. That gets. And then what we want to do is just blend this so it all mixes together. So that's your dry mix. And then what we can do is then incorporate our butter. Now, it's a good idea to have the butter sort of at room temperature, really, not too soft. And dice it up like that will help you as well. So just have it diced up rather than just put the whole lump in. Give this a quick blitz. And then once you get to that stage, then we can add the sort of liquid ingredients. It won't take long at all. You can see that's just almost gone straight away to a fine crumb there. Then we can add the golden syrup. Now this is where you can mix and match it. If you want it slightly darker, you could use a little bit of treacle. I'm going to use the treacle for the ginger cake bit. And also you could add a little bit of maple syrup if you wanted to as well. But 1 egg. Like that. Make sure you've got no shells in it. And then give this a quick blitz. And this will start to come together. Now it will take a little bit of time for this lot to start to come together. It'll all start to form into sort of one big, or a couple of big lumps. You can see that now. Mixture gets darker. Keep going. You can see the mixture now starting to come together. There we go. Now this time of year always reminds me of old recipes. And this one, and particularly the next one, comes from my late grandmother. She was an amazing baker. None of my family were chefs, so they're just brilliant at baking. That and parking and Yorkshire pudding, 8 eggs, 8 ounces of flour, pint of milk, still use it to this day. But she used to make this by hand, but you can see this mixture just comes together nicely. Now what you want to do is just leave that to rest nicely, and I've got one in here. And we can then roll this out, and you can see the mixture here. So if you want it really dark, just change the golden syrup to black treacle. And then what we want to do is just add a little bit of flour. Now, a tiny, tiny bit of flour. I'm just going to grab a little bit of this flour, not too much for this. And then we can roll it out into our shapes. Now, you don't want to make this too thick. Just roll it out as little flour as possible. Every time you do it, just keep turning it like that. And try and do this on a cold surface, so it just helps you along a bit. You can pop it in the fridge as well if you wanted to. Once you get to that stage, now you can then think about the templates of which you use. Like I said, but it's entirely up to you what you use. Nowadays, there's still time to get your templates over here, your gingerbread man and your this is a snowflake. You can actually bend and move this into a leaf if you wanted to, but we can cut this out. That's that one. And the same thing with the tree. You can actually bend it and shape it into a nice little leaf. However, a lot of people will have a lot of these plastic containers, these lid tops from sweets for Christmas. If you then cut these, and you can cut out these nice little templates, and then when you want to sort of cut anything out, you can create a nice little leaf. You can then just pop that on there, like that. And then lift this off, and then to create the little stalk you can squeeze that end here, and then what you want to do is to create a little hole in this. You can then just use a straw like that, and it punches the hole at the bottom. So you just do lots and lots of these, obviously all different shapes, all different sizes, that kind of thing. It's entirely up to you. Fill it all up. You can re-roll this as well, so it's not like your usual sort of pastry which will just get tougher. If you are starting to re-roll quite a lot of times, what you do need to do is just allow them to rest in the fridge, only for about an hour before you bake them, otherwise they're just going to change the shape or appearance of these things. Once you get to that stage, set the oven 180 degrees, pop them in the oven. I always put them in the bottom shelf of the oven, really. It's just a matter of course, really, rather than top shelf. You don't want them to colour too much. So bottom shelf, about 12 minutes, and then what we end up with is what we've got in here. Now, this is where you can decorate them however you wanted them. If you are going to use a multitude of sprays as well, which you can also get for Christmas, my best advice is get some white chocolate. And you don't have to be too fancy with this. You can just brush it any old way over the top. It's entirely up to you whether you do this, but white chocolate is the key. So once you spray this over the top, like that, you can then get some edible spray. We've got some red stuff here. Try and do it away from your cooker. But you can then spray these over the top. You can see that instantly changes colour. You can then take Nice bit of silver, bit of green, it's up to you. You can get these again online as well. There you go, just over the top. Attach a little bit of ribbon. You can do the same thing with these. You get all manner of these sort of different stuff nowadays. You can buy these. These are all different coloured icing. So you don't have to worry about getting food colouring and stuff like that, because not a lot of people want to carry that and have that. Oh, there's room on the tree, to be honest with you. But you just put a little bit of ribbon on it, and you can attach these on here, on there. But by spraying them with a nice little bit of colouring, particularly the metallic colouring, I think they look really nice. But you've got the nice little ginger bread there as well. Now, ginger cake, similar sort of recipe, similar, but rather than use a machine, what we do first of all is we melt the butter in the pan. So this is where, instead of using golden syrup, we use a little bit of black treacle. So we got some black treacle, like that, and just melted butter. Now, you've got to use butter. You just mix this together. Now, like I was saying, these are my old granny's recipes, really. This is it always brings back memories of of course, this time of year with your family, but particularly my grandmother. My grandmother had knout. She had properly knout. And when she sadly passed away in her will, she said, you can have it, whatever you want, but James is getting her old recipe books. And I've still got, these two recipes are from there. So nice and simple. And she always used to use this sort of this is a newer version. I've got the old one in the house, but she used these things, and it's all worn around the edge where her rings were sort of mixing this together. She also used to sit there and watch Corrie while she's just rubbed the shortbread together like that, and you just had this tap, tap, tap of the little hands and the ring on the side of the bowl. But really simple to make, and always these bowls bring back so many memories. But we take the dry ingredients again. We've got the flour, we've got the sugar. Again, we've got the bicarb, like that, goes in there. We've got ginger, this time a little bit more ginger, as opposed to sort of a combination of the spice. And then we keep our wet ingredients. I've got some egg, I've got some milk, and I've got the butter and the black treacle. Now, what we need to do, first of all, before we mix this all together, because this has got bicarb in it and the mixture's quite warm, so as soon as you put it in, it'll actually start to react. So you need to make sure you've got your tin ready. So for the tin, you can line this simply with just a piece of paper, but you can do that one piece. So take a little bit of that, cut a strip. You don't need to fully line it, because this is non-stick. The reason why we use just a strip, it's just easier to remove. So just a little bit of melted butter on here. Take this strip, pop it in there like that, and that's all the paper you need. It just gives you a hand to lift it out when it's cooked. So once you've got the tin there, back over here with our rest of our ingredients, and then all we can do is just pop our ingredients in. So we've got our black treacle, our butter, our milk, our eggs. The whole lot goes in. Now you can see in here, as soon as you add this mixture with the bicarb, it actually starts to work. It's a bit like making a sort of sticky toffee pudding when that mixture's warm. Because the butter and stuff is warm, it reacts with the bicarb and actually starts to rise. By hand, mix this all together. You can see it actually starts to bubble up as it starts to react with the bicarb there. So once we get to that stage, have your tin there to hand. Pour this straight into the tin. The oven's set same temperature, 180 degrees. And this needs to cook now for about 45 minutes. So this time, middle shelf in there. See those biscuits? They're not far off. They're done. And then, once it's cooked, you take it out, allow it to cool, and this is what we end up with. And then, to finish it off, and this is where my gran would finish it off, slightly similar to what I'm going to do. This is where I got my love of dairy, you see. Double cream. And then spread a little bit of double cream over the top. And then I've got some candied ginger. And candied ginger with this makes it taste amazing. You got this little crunch. But this stuff, the candied ginger as well. And just to prove that it's as delicious on the outside as it is in the middle, take a nice slice. See, look at that. It's an oldie, but a goodie. It's not me, it's Granny's recipe. That's what that is. Now, if there's anything you'd like to learn about in a little masterclass, then do get in touch. We'll see if we can help out right here on the show. Time now for a quick break now, but join me again in a couple of minutes. We'll be serving up lunch for Fred Sirieix. I'll see you in a minute. But before you go, I don't normally eat on camera, but this is an exception. Welcome back to the last part of the show. I'm back in the kitchen with my guest, the one and only Fred Sirieix. For my final dish, I'm going to do a beautiful bit of turbot because I know that you love this. And I'm going to do a simple, no pressure again. I'm going to do another French little classic, little beurre blanc, a la Pierre Kaufmann. We're going to do the little white peppercorns, bit of bay leaf, some shallot, some chives, touch of cream to stabilise it, a little bit of lemon. We've got some white wine, some vinegar, and then we're going to flavour that with a little bit of caviar, which we're going to get on in a minute. But it's all about this. I mean, just check this out.
Oh, it's almost a shame that you're going to fillet this fish.
I know, it's such a shame, because normally you would roast this off on the bone, which is really nice. I mean, we've got a pizza oven out there. You could have done that in the pizza oven. But for this, I'm just going to cut it and take a fillet off. Now, there's 4 fillets on a flatfish like this, 2 either side here and 2 underneath. And nature's amazing. It's actually drawn you a little line down the centre. And if you follow that line all the way down, now you need to be quite confident with the turbot, because the skin is quite firm as well, all the way
It's easier
around.
said than done, isn't it? You need to know what you're doing when you do that.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you just ideally get a fishmonger to do it, but you just take your knife in and go right along the side of the bone like that, all the way around.
Oh, look at that. I mean, turbot is such a beautiful fish, you know, this white, meaty fish.
It is absolutely delicious. One of your favourites, and I think well, it's the king of the sea, isn't it, really? It's supposed to be.
It is. You can't beat that.
All this way around, like that. And we take this nice, big chunk of fish.
And it's so good, you don't need to do much to it, do you?
I'm just going to pan fry it. Do nothing else with it. Pan fry it. Just peel off the skin afterwards. Just move that to one side, because I'll actually portion that up. You can take that home.
Thank you.
So you can have that for supper for later. And then all I'm going to do is just pan fry this, keep the skin on, then peel it off after it's cooked as well. Now, but as well as you're here to chat about loads of stuff that you've been up to, we're going to do it. This is the first guest that we've had on that's going to do me a little wine tasting as well, a little nice little wine tasting, a wine pairing to go with this. And this is quite unusual as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Crémant. Well, Crémant is produced actually in all the French wine regions. It started in 1900 in Alsace, and then it became an AOC, a classification, official classification in 1975. So now I've got one from Bordeaux, one from Limoux, and one from Burgundy. Now, the interesting thing about Crémant is that it's made exactly in the same way as Champagne. The thing about Crémant is because it's using the same method as Champagne, you get the same quality. But of course, because it's not produced in the very region of Champagne, it can't be called Champagne, but also it's using different grapes. The reason why they made this differentiation is to ensure that whoever makes Crémant and whoever makes Blanquette, you know, has a point of difference in order to sell their wine.
Is it all you reckon about it is about the marketing then?
It is a lot about marketing. I mean, people know Champagne. Champagne is known for celebration around the world, and people are kind of they're thinking, is this going to be as good as? Is this what I'm looking for? Is it going to be good quality? And is it going to taste like Champagne? No, it won't taste like Champagne, because Champagne is Champagne and it's made in Champagne. Now, when you think of a wine like this one, which is a Crémant de Bourgogne, which is made using some Pinot Noir, some Chardonnay, and a local grape called Aligoté, it's not going to taste like Champagne, but it's got to have all the pretty fruit of Burgundy. Okay,
well, I'll leave you to the first one that we're going to go to. I'm just to recap, I've got my turbots in the oven. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes to cook. I've got some shallots. I've got a bit of white wine on here. I'm going to use a touch of vinegar, just a little bit of white wine vinegar in there. And then I'm going to flavour this with some bay leaf, just a bay leaf, fresh bay leaf. And then I'm going to use some white peppercorns. And then we get this amazing strength of flavour from it. And this is the base for your sort of beurre blanc. And you need this acidity. This acidity comes in the form of a little bit of lemon at the end, but a little bit of vinegar at the start. And as you reduce it down like that, once you get to it almost to nothing, it must reduce by at least half. And then what we can do is we can pass that through a sieve, and then you end up with this very, very strong liquor. Now, it's into that liquor now that we're going to add some cream. Not classically cream, but this is a good idea to add some cream if you are going to do a sauce like this, because it stabilises the entire thing. And then, as it's almost off the heat, you switch it off the heat, then you start adding the butter, and it starts to thicken up the sauce. So we've got a touch of this cream to thicken it all up, and then I'm going to add lots and lots of butter, and it is lots and lots of butter. And as it starts to thicken, it'll get into this fantastic sort of beurre blanc, which is exactly what you want. So explain to us what we got in here. What's the first one that you got?
Well,
you got me trying here.
I've got Crémant de Bordeaux here.
Which is this one?
This one here,
Okay.
which is obviously made in Bordeaux. It's local grapes, Sémillon, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Franc, Merlot. But also what you have here, because, you know, you've got so many grapes here, you've got a great complexity, and all the grapes are going to give their particular flavour to the wine.
And as opposed to sort of Prosecco, what's the price difference? What are we starting off price-wise for this one?
The Bordeaux here is £12.
So, again, all quite reasonable.
Incredible value for money. But nowadays, you can, all the supermarkets do Crémant. You can find them anywhere, from Aldi to Asda, everywhere. Let's try the Crémant de Limoux now.
This is this middle one as well. I'm enjoying this while I'm cooking as well. So
that's interesting. I mean, that's made with Chardonnay, mainly Chardonnay.
again, more champagne-y sort of.
It is, yes, very biscotti. But again, this is not champagne. But it's you see, it's interesting, champagne, isn't it? Because champagne is so famous, and we've got it in our mind. You know, even if you have a sparkling wine made in the UK, you call it champagne. And it's, again, of course, it's a little bit of snobbery. Because we think, because it's called champagne, it's going to be good, but there are some champagne that are not good, and some Crémant that are delicious. So do we have the palate? Do we have the taste? Are we refined enough to understand that this is actually better than some champagne?
Well, I'm enjoying the last one anyway. So where parts in France are we going for the last one then?
Okay, the last one is in Burgundy. This is very refined, lovely green apple, pear flavors, touch of honey.
That for Christmas, amazing.
Yeah.
That's really good.
And because it was aged on lees, you got these biscotti flavors, just like you get in champagne, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, what would be very interesting is to have a blind tasting, and you give that to people and you say, okay, tell me which champagne it is. And I bet you people would be fooled. People would be fooled.
Exactly right, exactly right. So we're just going to recap what I've got in this pan. I've got my butter in here as well. In there, I'm going to pop the chives. They're going to go in the last minute. And a bit like you've got a selection of Crémant, mine is sort of, well, one's superior. The rest...
I can see the one I like already from here.
I can see the one that you like already. We've got a range of different caviars. Now, caviar sturgeon, classically, which we got at the end. But we're going to run through the different ones that you can find in all supermarkets. You can get these online as well. But we're going to run through this one. You can see from the eggs here that they vary in different colour and different textures, different sizes, of course. Predominantly herring. This is this one over here, as well as these in terms of the colour. But you've got the herring ones over here, or this one's a trout. That's herring one. This one's quite interesting. These are salmon roe. These are actually quite nice. These
not my cup of tea.
No, these are, well, they're not bad. If you want them with a nice little bit of salmon mousse, these are slightly different as well. And then we picked up this one. In fact, I don't know where Sam Head, who works for us on this show, picked this one up, to be honest with you. I think she got this free with a bit of fuel. Caplin, it's called. I don't know what it is, but it's the first ever one that I've seen which is blue. Look at this one. That is going to know nowhere near my food.
Yeah, radioactive caviar.
Where did you get that from? She's here. Where did you get that from? Sam, where did you get it from?
No, I'm not disclosing that.
You see, she's not telling you. I don't know where it came from.
Is it coming from Chernobyl?
I think it was the bottom of her fridge from about 15 Christmases ago, to be honest with you. I don't know where that one came from, but we're going to take a nice dollop of the caviar.
Oh.
That goes in here. Mix this over together.
This is a really...
While that sits there, my fish is cooking. Shall we just take a little snippet of what you've been up to? And one of the shows, out of all the things you've been doing, you've been on TV now for a number of years, over a decade now. People have seen you, but everything that I love about what you do, I still go back to being a chef. This Snapmasters, to me, I absolutely love. Just check out a little bit of this. Basically, they do all the work and you just go in there and criticise. It's great, though.
That's right. That's right. You know, but sometimes the chef on there, you know, they think that they are actually doing great, but actually they're not. They're completely off. And I have to put them back on track.
Well, rather you than me anyway, as well. So, well, best wishes for next year. Hopefully everything's going to get back on track for you, and we'll see you more on screen anyway as well. But,
thank you very much, James.
Thanks for the champagne
Santé.
tasting. Well, not champagne tasting, the Cremant tasting as well, but it is Santé. I'm going to go for that one, the one that I've drunk. There you go. This
Cheers,
one
James.
is absolutely brilliant, the last one.
Thank you.
So we just finish off this little bit of turbot. I've got a couple of pieces over here. This wonderful little bit of turbot. Keep the skin on as well. It protects it as well while it cooks. And then just sit down a bit of paper. You get rid of all the excess little bit of butter and bits and pieces. And then we can grab our spoon and just carefully lift off this skin.
It's the perfect season for turbot now.
I just think lifting this off is perfect. And then what you want to do is grab yourself a plate. Like that. And then a fresh spoon. And we've got this simple little classic.
Oh. Now, that looks like Christmas.
It looks all right, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then you grab your lovely little bit. Do you want that one or that one? That one.
No, they both look good.
And there you have it. So, roast turbot with a classic beurre blanc.
Can I make a suggestion?
What's that?
Why don't we put a little bit more caviar on the top?
Fine. You're my guest.
What do you think?
I was going to keep that for my breakfast tomorrow, but no, it's fine. It's no problem.
A nice little dollop. Oh, yes.
There you go. Bon appetit.
Thank you.
There we have it, chef.
Merci. Wow.
And you've got a Christmas special coming out, Remarkable Places to Eat, with Roux Jr.
That's right. Michel Roux Jr. and I went in and around Bristol to discover the area and some fantastic places to go and eat.
Yeah.
And every time we're together, we're such a ball.
It's good. We look forward to seeing it. And good luck with everything you're doing as well. But
thank you very much.
Bon appetit.
Thank
a great
you.
ending to a great show. Thanks to all my brilliant guests, the brilliant Michael Keynes, Claire Smith, and of course, the one and only Fred Sirieix. Thank you very much. We'll see you back here on Christmas Day at the later time of 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. It's a good job we're not live, otherwise we get a proper lie-in. Where I'll be serving a fantastic feast of festive food with top chef John Williams from the Ritz, Mark Tilling, one of the best chocolatiers in the business, and of course the brilliant Tom Kerridge is here. And also we got a great friend of the show, Mr. Chris Evans is back. We haven't invited him, he just keeps turning up every year. Until then, take care, stay safe, and thanks for watching. And Sam, take this blue stuff away.